And so we can start off by saying that whenever we can begin to look at purpose actually. So before we get into that, let's look at purpose. So when we grow up in the world, we tend to learn over time what purpose is. Like for example, we know what the purpose of a YouTube channel is. The purpose of a YouTube channel is to share videos. But if we look at what the purpose is of a mobile phone, we can say that the purpose of a mobile phone is to call people. But in regards to spiritual awakening and experiencing inner peace, we are really beginning to look at a deeper purpose than we can say a form level purpose. And the purpose we're going to begin to look at today is really the purpose on the mind level. So just as the form level purpose of a YouTube channel is that the YouTube channel is there to share videos, the deeper purpose of the YouTube channel is why. What is the motivation behind the YouTube channel? Why am I sharing videos? So instead of looking at the purpose on the form level of the YouTube channel is there to share videos, we are beginning to retrain our mind to look at a much deeper purpose, which is the mental purpose, our mental desire, which is the why, the purpose behind the actions that seem to be taken on the form level. And so if we look at a YouTube channel, for example, we can begin to inquire why actually am I sharing videos on YouTube? And we can just sit and we can begin to just ponder the deeper purpose behind the actions that we seem to take every day. Am I uploading videos on YouTube to get more likes or to get high views and to become famous and to become liked and popular by my peers and those who may find the videos? Or am I doing the YouTube channel for my own self-realization and peace of mind? So in the previous video, the previous talk that we did last week around the levels of mind, we kind of touched on the desire and why we were doing stuff on the mind level. Was it for peace or was it for lack of peace? And divine logic states that if we choose something other than peace, then that must result in lack of peace. And so, for example, if I am using a YouTube channel to get likes, and all of a sudden I upload a YouTube channel and just make videos and I share my videos out, and all of a sudden they get like 10 likes, the ego is going to come up very quickly in the mind and go, oh, because of this, you're a failure and you're not doing this right, and you might as well just, delete your YouTube channel. And so you can see how by beginning to look at the underlying purpose of why we are beginning to do things in our day-to-day experiences, we can come deeper towards this experience of peace. And if we follow on from the last talk that we did as well, through looking at desire, we're really just retracing the purpose back to the level of mind rather than looking at the purposes on the level of form. So for example, I wake up in the morning and I get inspired to make a phone call. Now we all know what the purpose of a mobile phone is. It's to make a call. However, what we want to be asking with everything that we're doing, we don't have to be too pedantic about it, but what we want to begin to inquire about is why we are actually making that phone call. Why are we actually reaching out to that person? Is it coming from inspiration? Is it coming from the spirit? Is it coming from intuitive guidance? Or is it coming from like an egoic desire to get something or to attack something or someone? And so through tracing the purpose back to the level of mind, we can begin to question, why are we actually doing everything that we're doing day to day? Rather than going with the status quo, we want to get very clear on the purpose, because this purpose is going to lead us back to the mind level. And when we come back to the mind level, that's like a halfway step. We're halfway there just to the experience of peace of mind. And so in terms of spiritual awakening and opening to an experience of peace that is ever present, we can begin to apply what I begin to call mind watching. Once our focus is taken off of the level of perception back through to the emotions, to the thought level, back to the beliefs and the desire, which is called what I like to call mind watching, we can begin to just be the presence of awareness that begins to just observe all of the thoughts and emotions that may be arising, just as how clouds arise in the sky. Now, when a thunderstorm happens in the sky doesn't mind. The sky is open to all experience. The sky is open to thunderstorms. The sky is open to no thunderstorms. So whatever the appearance seems to be in the actual sky, the sky doesn't mind. The sky is the sky. However, when we experience upsets, as we know, our desire is always split for something other than peace, which is, of course, lack of peace. And so what the mind is actually doing is, instead of having a singular desire for peace, the mind seems to be misidentifying itself with these arising storm clouds that seem to be happening in the sky, rather than remaining as the sky, which is behind the presence, but behind the storm clouds that are arising. And so through asking what is the purpose of everything that we seem to be doing every day, we can begin to open to the purpose of saying that we can restate the purpose of peace or lack of peace as, my purpose for everything is either going to take me to self-realization, take me to that experience of self-realization, or it's going to keep me bound in the misidentification with the ego. It's going to keep me bound to suffering. It's going to keep me bound to illusions. And so as we begin to, again, just bring everything back to the two purposes in the mind, because there's only really two decisions on the mind level. That's peace or lack of peace, whatever words you want to call that, Holy Spirit or ego, devil or, God. We can begin to bring everything back to these two critical decisions, which are still a stepping stone towards choiceless awareness or the consistent experience of peace. And so as we're going through our day-to-day experience, we want to just remember that we can bring everything back to this one purpose of mind watching and forgiveness. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, if I have a YouTube video, we're just going to stick with this YouTube video example. If I have a YouTube video and I put that online, now we can begin to say, okay, I want to extend this video, but what is my purpose behind extending this video? Is it going to be for peace? Is it going to be to remain in the present? Or is it going to be because I want to get likes? Is it going to be because I want to, inflate my ego a little bit and boast and pride around how big the video may get or may not get? And of course, if the video doesn't get as big as the ego wants it to be, then the upset happens and the lack of peace stems forth from that. So we really want to remember every single experience that we have during the day. We really want to hold this purpose out front. And what is that purpose? Well, in A Course in Miracles terms, it's called forgiveness. Now, forgiveness really just means mind watching and being able to pull back the egoic's projections from the level of form back to the level of mind, which is the level of misidentification with the ego. The level of mind is the sole cause for any experience, because this is where thoughts are affected from, this is where emotions stem from, and this is where our perceptions stem from as well, as we know. Perceptions are an effect of emotions, and emotion is an effect of thoughts. Thoughts are an effect of belief, and this is all an inroads into this one purpose, or the core desire in the mind, or focus, whatever word you want to use. And as we are uploading that video, we can say, okay, I want to hold that purpose out front. I know through going through my chosen inquiry that if I hold this purpose out front, then this is going to help me stabilize my seeming perception. Rather than going through all of the roller coaster of emotions that we seem to go through the day-to-day experience with the ego, we can begin to come into this consistency of mind watching and consistency of purpose through remembering that we want to hold the purpose out in front. Whether it's washing the dishes, whether it's talking to a brother or a sister, whether it's maybe you're going to work, maybe you're driving to work. What's the purpose of driving to work? Do I want peace, or do I want to get there on time? You can see how everything is always based from the purpose that we give it. Now, if we are driving to work and we want to get there on time, say we want to get there on time more than we want peace, and someone cuts us off, causing us to be late, then you can see how the ego arises from that split desire, and then you start to experience the false effects from that split desire, which may be in the form of the ego ranting in the mind because you're late, and this means that you're going to get fired. And it brings up all of these hypothetical images and hypothetical stories in the mind of how you might or may not, get fired or be punished, and so on and so forth. And so when I left my job in 2017, I really had to go through this experience of getting very, very clear on my purpose day to day. Because at this time, I was still going through my, inner work. I was still going through the inner inquiry and getting very clear on what the hell was actually going on, what this whole spiritual experience was really about. Now, as we're going through, the seemingly awakening journey, which is still just a stepping stone metaphor, we seem to be like, where is this actually going? Like, what am I actually doing this for? And so to use another example for what I'm trying to convey here is, let's say we want to go to the supermarket and we want to bring a spouse of ours. Now, if we say, hey, we're going to the supermarket, and we get in the car and we start driving to the supermarket, but all of a sudden you start, going down the road that leads away from the supermarket, your spouse is going to go, hang on a second, aren't we going to the supermarket? And this is the same as saying, well, we're going through our day-to-day experience, and we can say we want peace, but all of a sudden we forget our purpose of wanting peace or self-realization, and all of a sudden we're going off on different roads that lead away from this experience. And we can tell we have gone on a separate road that leads away from the supermarket by the way that we feel. So we can begin to just pay attention initially to the emotions that seem to rise, and our emotions are a good indicator of what purpose we are choosing in the mind, ego or spirit, lack of peace or peace, whatever words you want to use. And so what I'm really saying here is, when we are driving to the supermarket, the only way to get to the supermarket is to go down the road which leads to the supermarket. And this means overlooking any other roads which don't lead to the supermarket. And so this is the same as saying, well, if I want peace, then I have to overlook all of the other goals which lead away from the peace. And what are these? What is an example of this other goal that I'm talking about? Well, it could be something as simple as just wanting that parking space. If I want that parking space more than I want peace, then and I'm driving to that parking space, and all of a sudden someone comes along and takes that parking space before I get it, then oh my gosh, I wanted that parking space. And you can see how the ego comes up, and all of a sudden there's this huge confusion and huge reaction to something that doesn't really even matter at the end of the day. And you can see how this is all stemming from one's own decision for desiring or focusing on something that takes one away from what one truly wants. And everyone that's on the spiritual journey is, seeking God, seeking peace of mind, seeking inner peace, whatever word you want to use. All of us are on the seeming journey, metaphorically, for this one experience, to come into this one experience, to realize this one experience. And so we just want to remember to begin to hold out this one purpose of forgiveness, this one purpose of peace out in front, no matter what seems to be happening during the day.